Hello guys, welcome to another episode on our Swan of Luxury series. And tonight's episode will be about Kotlin Gradle DSL. So since our project is written mostly in Kotlin, the idea here is to convert our build scripts, which are the settings.gradle file, basically all the Gradle files, right? We want to convert them to purely Kotlin scripts. Okay, so at the end we are supposed to achieve something like this. So this is how our scripts are supposed to look like. This is written entirely in Kotlin. It has a number of advantages actually. We are able to just navigate across different files just as we would have done in a normal Kotlin file. And also we have type safety in the sense that when we are expecting a string, we provide them with a string. And also we are able to move all our dependencies to a script that can be shared across our various Gradle scripts. Okay, so this is an object called dependencies, and then I have a number of constant variables over here. One including the package name, the build types, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's get started. So to get started, the first thing we need to do is to prepare our application for this migration. Okay, usually we start with the settings file. So we're going to the project navigation here, and then we select settings.gradle. And then the first conversion will be to convert this line of code to a Kotlin function invocation. So the main idea here is this. In Groovy, right, we can have property assignments and function invocations like we have in Kotlin, but Kotlin has a different way of applying them. Groovy is not strict on property invocations and all those things, so we are able to use single quotations over here. And in Kotlin, we need to change this to that in order for it to work properly. And also, we need to wrap it inside a function like this. Okay, so this now becomes like a function in Kotlin, so we can just go there straight. It becomes a function that we invoke this. We pass in this argument, right? So we are trying to tell it that we have a project with this name, and we are including this application. Okay, so I can even change this name over here to just Swan, and then I sync now. Okay, so it's synced successfully. So now I navigate back to this file, and what I do is I press and hold Shift, and then I tap on F6 to refactor, and then I change this to .kts. So all these scripts are going to have a Gradle.kts extension instead of just the normal Gradle extension. So as of now, we have a Kotlin script here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rebuild this, and we should see the IDE should give us some hints on those autocomplete and all those good things that we have with Kotlin. Okay, we have a successful build now. So we are done with settings.gradle. We can move on to our next Gradle file, which will be the project level build.gradle. So what I'm going to do here is, you realize that we have some extensions, extra properties over here, which includes Kotlin version. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this for now and just paste it directly here instead of using that property. And then for this nav version, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to copy the version and just paste it in there. And then I go into my application level build.gradle file, and anywhere we have Kotlin version, I'm just going to paste the Kotlin version that we used over there. So we have 1.40 RC. That's the version I'm currently using. And This is for the nav version. Okay, so we have that in place now, and we can sync our application again just in case if we've missed anything. Okay, so we don't need this variable anymore, and yeah, so let's see. So we'll go back to our project level builder Gradle file, and we are going to make some changes as well over here. So let's take a big leap. Let's just change the extension here. .kts, and then we sync. Okay, so after changing this, we realized that I had some errors over here. So this is what I was talking about. You see, in Gradle, we don't mind using single quotations over here, right? It's like you're using Python. It doesn't really mind, right? So in Kotlin, we actually need to use this instead of just a single quotation. We need a double quotation. So I will wrap this inside. So in this case now, it's still a function invocation, right? So I'm going to wrap all of this inside brackets. And then this URL property over here. So let's sync again. I want us to walk through every problem that this thing comes up with so that we'll know how to work with it. Okay, so it's expecting a URI, right? But it's getting this. So we can do this in two ways. We can wrap this whole text inside a URI like this. And we'll do the same for this guy. And then we sync. Okay, it came up with another problem. So let's see, line 41, expecting blah, blah, blah. So for now, let me just remove this tags here. We'll get back to it. Let me sync again. So it's almost done, and yeah, it's indexing. Good. So we have a successful build here, and you realize that the IDE now helps us to understand what is actually going on in our Gradle script. So we know we have a URL over here for our repositories, right? And then also the class path have a dependency notation, which is this, and so on and so forth. So the other way of setting the URL over here is to just copy this text like this, or in this case, just cut it, remove the curly braces, and just invoke it directly like this. So the URL is invoked directly on this function over here. So we can do the same here, and it should work perfectly well. Okay. The reason why I'm doing this now is because we'll be adding more dependencies as time goes on, and they may become very complex when we get to that stage, especially when you're trying to do this whole process. That is the reason why I want to do it now before we move on to adding more dependencies in the future. So back to this side. So for this task in Kotlin Gradle DSL, if you want to create a task, what we do is we use the task property over here, and we register a task, and we give it a name. So I'm going to call this task clean, and I'm going to delegate a class to it called delete. And what this thing is supposed to do is to call delete on the root project .build directory. This is what I wanted to do, right? I'm registering a task called clean, which is what we have here. So we have a task called clean of type delete. So the name of the class and the type. This is how you register a function inside Kotlin Gradle DSL. So with this object over here, I'm trying to invoke the delete function on the delete class, right? So this delete function is from the delete class. So you realize we have delete over here, which is a function which returns the class itself, delete. Okay, so I'm invoking this, and it's expecting me to pass in the target that I want to delete. In this case, I want to delete this project level build.gradle file here anytime I call delete. Okay, this is what I want to do. So it's performing the same function as what we have down there. But in this case, I can actually move to these classes and check them out. See, I can move to these classes, check them out, and understand how they are implemented. So let's sync again. Okay, so now we are done with two of our scripts. We have settings.gradle.kts. We also completed the project level build.gradle.kts. So the last step now for this first phase is to also convert this to a Kotlin Gradle DSL. So this is for the application level build.gradle or the module level build.gradle. So what I'm going to do is to make this less painful, I'm just going to do this conversion before we move on. If you recall, we had an error of this type. And then in this case, instead of calling these guys, we're going to use function invocations, right? So we're going to use this. And when I'm done with this, you realize that it will still function as a valid Gradle file. Or should I say Gradle script. So the version code okay, and then we're going to use set source compatibility and pass this in here. So I'll add a link to a video giving a full description of how to set up your Kotlin Gradle DSL in the description so that you can follow along. But then I think we also need to change this guy here. It will state out all the advantages and disadvantages, if any, of using this process. Okay, so we are still going to use this here. So we are going to invoke them as functions. Okay, this is a painful process, so what I'm going to do is I'll just complete it and then resume the video.